Greetings. Welcome to this week's edition of Hymns of Hope. I'm Andrew Schaeffer, Director of Music here at Lutheran Memorial Church in Madison, Wisconsin. Today we're going to be looking at another beloved hymn of the church, God of Grace and God of Glory. And if you have your red Evangelical Lutheran worship handy, you can find it at number 705. And if you have a Lutheran Book of Worship, the Green Book, you can find it at 415. Of course, like many of these hymns, you can also find it by searching on Bing or Google. This is a particularly poignant text, and it was written by Harry Fosdick, who was the senior pastor at the famed Riverside Church in New York City. Riverside Church, just as an aside, has a storied musical tradition, and many famous organists from the 20th century, including such names as Virgil Fox and Frederick Swann, have served in this church. It's a church that, again, greatly appreciates music. It was a Baptist church on Park Avenue, and they were making plans in the late 1920s to build a massive $5 million, and that's, again, 1920s money, $5 million edifice. Luckily, they had a good benefactor by the name of John D. Rockefeller to write the check. All this to say, they were moving to a new location up the Hudson, and Pastor Fosdick wanted to write a hymn to commemorate this particular, to commemorate the groundbreaking and also to commemorate the dedication of the building. And he came up with the text, God of Grace and God of Glory. It's sort of different than many other hymns that you would associate with the dedication of a church, such as Built on a Rock or How Firm a Foundation or The Church is One Foundation, any of those old standbys. This one takes the form of petitions, and it really doesn't ever mention the church building. He wanted to talk more about what the church is about, and so I'm going to read some of these petitions to you now. God of grace and God of glory, on your people pour your power. Crown your church's ancient story, bring its bud to glorious flower. Grant us wisdom, grant us courage, for the facing of this hour, for the facing of this hour. This hymn, if you're thinking about your world history, as I often do, was written in the middle of the two world wars, and really in 1930 at I wouldn't say it was the worst part of the Depression, but the Depression was just settling in. So there was a lot of angst to be found, and as you continue to look through the text, you can see references to that, especially the second stanza, lo, the hosts of evil round us scorn the Christ, assail his ways. From the fears that long have bound us, free our hearts to faith and praise. And the third stanza, cure your children's warring madness, bend our pride to your control. And then the fourth stanza starts out with a petition, save us from weak resignation to the evils we deplore. Like I said, it's really an interesting text to meditate on, especially in the context of a building being dedicated. And I invite you to think about it as you listen to this setting, the ways that we are church together, and as we start to think about coming back to our building here in July, how this text can help us to strive to be church not only at 1021 University Avenue, but out in the world. The setting I'm going to play today is by a composer near and dear to my own heart, Dr. Paul Manz. He, very famous 20th century Lutheran composer, and sort of invented the modern day hymn festival. He's a prolific composer of dozens and dozens of motets for choirs as well as organ settings of hymns. And I had the great pleasure of hearing Dr. Manz when I was a child, and he was still playing at the Lutheran Church of St. Luke in Chicago. And some of you who are watching may know him from his association at Mount Olive Lutheran in Minneapolis. So here we are in Madison, sandwiched between those two cities. So hopefully you've heard of him before and you will enjoy this setting. It's quite on the joyful side. I'm not sure it captures necessarily all of the angst in the text of God of Grace and God of Glory, but nevertheless, I think you will find it to be a joyful expression of the hope that is found in this text.